Hey everyone, it's Caito, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about 10 design elements and items to make a breathtaking entrance. So if you're interested in content like this and you want to see more in the future, I'd appreciate if you like and subscribe, but let's just get right into it. So I have created several entrances, not only in my personal time, but also on this channel. I've gone through so many, so I wanted to kind of reflect and just see, what do I always gravitate towards? What do I tend to include in my entrances? And just kind of outline those things for you guys today. Maybe some ideas for things to include in your own entrance if you are looking to create or redo your entrance on your island. The first thing I want to talk about is seating. Seating is something that I feel like I include in every single one of my entrances. On my current island, I have just a little log chair. I don't have a specific type of seating that I gravitate towards. I just like to include a bench, a chair, a stool, something like that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be functional. It can just be for aesthetics. But something about seating at your entrance is just very welcoming and cozy. If that's the vibe you're going for, I definitely recommend including some type of chair or bench. Next up, I want to talk about log stakes. I love log stakes. You guys know I love this item. It is one of the best items in the game. You can't change my mind on that. It's just so good. I love all of the different color variations of log stakes. And I feel like the log stakes are such a good item to include because they almost create like a barrier at your entrance. But the log stakes are also such a great height, so I definitely recommend trying them out. Next up is the garden wagon, and this one I'm actually not using on my current island, but I have used it in so many of my entrances prior to. And the garden wagon, I just feel like is such a focal point, and it's always good to have some kind of focal point item at your entrance. They come in several different color variations. It can really fit into most themes if you do have a theme on your island. So the garden wagon is just overall a great item and definitely one to include at your entrance. Another item that I like to use a lot at my entrances is the tiny library. Something about this item is just so cute to me. It's one of my favorite items as well. You can see a trend here that I like to use a bunch of my favorite items at my entrance, just because the entrance is the first thing you're going to see on someone's island, so you want to make it full of items that you love. The tiny library is one of those items. I feel like it makes the island feel very village inspired, like everyone is just sharing all of their books around the island, and I just love that. Okay, and the last item or group of items that I want to talk about is the signposts. I use these destination signposts as well as the other angled signposts and just the straight signposts all over my island, but especially at my entrance. I love using them here because it really gives someone direction, and the destination signpost specifically is such a great item because it does add height, and that is something I feel like is very lacking with the items in this game. So such a great item to use. The other ones, if you have your shops or something nearby, you can use the other signposts to guide someone a certain direction if that's what you want to do. So the signposts in general, I love using them at the entrance. Okay, so I want to move on from items a little bit and talk about some other important elements to include in your entrance. And the first one I want to talk about is water features. I very often will include some type of water feature at my entrance, whether it's just a simple waterfall or a small little river. Water features are always such a great way of adding interest to your entrance as well. I have several waterfalls on my current island. So this one's going to be very hard for me not to do when I try my no terraforming island, because I do like to add cliffs and waterfalls near the entrance almost always. I think they can really add something to the entrance, so it's really something that I do a lot. Okay, next up is fencing, and choosing one type of fencing or mixing up multiple different styles of fencing can definitely set a mood for your island. So say I use simple wooden fencing a lot. I also like to use the lattice fencing occasionally, but if I were to use something completely different, say the iron and stone fencing, that will definitely give a different vibe than my current vibe. So it just totally depends on the look you're going for. But fencing is super important, and it doesn't take a lot of fencing to really make a big impact. So that is another reason that I do love putting fencing at my entrance. Alright, now I want to talk a little bit about flowers. I have been really into putting flowers all over my island. You guys know that. Especially with this more spring themed island, I have loved putting them everywhere. Especially at my entrance, I wanted it to feel full of flowers. Same as the fencing, you can really set the tone for your island based on which flowers you include at your entrance. Now, obviously, you're not restricted to using the same flowers throughout your entire island, but if you want to keep some consistency, you can really select the flowers that you want to use throughout and put them at your entrance if that's something that you're going for. So I just chose some of my favorites to include at the entrance, like the white cosmos, tulips, and hyacinths, because those were just my favorites for this island. But I love to use flowers at all of my entrance. They're such a good space filler. You can walk through them, so it just makes such a big difference to fill certain spaces with flowers. Highly recommend using them at your entrance. Another really important thing to consider is what type of pathing do you want to use at your entrance. My current entrance, I have a mixture of different paths. I have some brick pathing and grass pathing. On my last island, I was using the in-game pathing, so I had dirt path. You could see in my other entrances, I've used so many different styles of path at my entrance, and this is just another way to set the tone for your island. I feel like I've been saying that, but your entrance is just such an important part of your island and kind of gives the visitor a sneak peek into what they're going to be seeing on your island. So pathing is another very important thing to consider. I like to use custom paths most often, but I did enjoy using the in-game paths as well, so lots of things to consider when it comes to pathing. Okay, last but not least, and I feel like this is one of the most important things for the entrance, and that is trees. The thing about trees is there are several different kinds that you can use, and just consider how different your island will feel depending on which tree you're using at your entrance. Right now, I have all hardwood and fruit trees. If I were to change all of these trees out to cedar trees, my entrance would look completely different. Same if I were to change them all to bamboo or palm trees. It would totally change the style of the entrance. So definitely consider which trees you're using and how you want your island to feel at your entrance. I made the decision to only use hardwood and fruit trees for the vast majority of this island, just because I wanted to feel very whimsical and spring. So that was my decision making for this particular entrance. Normally I like to mix in some cedars with my hardwood trees, but you can definitely envision if I were to change all of these to cedar trees, my island would feel much more forest than spring. So that was the reason for that decision. So I think trees can make the biggest impact on your entrance, and I would recommend playing around with it. Maybe take your current entrance, change out all the trees to a different style of tree, and just see how it looks. See if it inspires you to try something else with your entrance. I hope you guys enjoyed these design elements and items that I feel like really make for a great entrance. I would love to know down in the comments below, what items do you guys like to use? Are there things that you include in all of your entrances as well? Definitely leave those down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.